What's up, everybody? It's going to be a fun day of boxing. We got a huge fight in the heavyweight division between Anthony Joshua and Oleksandr Usyk. Anthony Joshua, of course, is going to be stepping in, bringing all three of his major sanctioning body titles, putting those on the line. And he's also going to be putting the IBO, which is a lesser known title, but also highly recognized. He's going to put that IBO title on the line as well. So all belts on the line. Anthony Joshua stepping into the ring at 24-1 with 22 knockouts to his record, to his favor. And of course, his one defeat came at the hands of Andy Ruiz a couple years back, and that was also a stoppage loss for him. So the 24-1 with 22 knockouts, Anthony Joshua bringing 3 titles, bringing the crowd with him as well. This is going to be at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium in London. They're expecting approximately 60 to 65,000 people to attend this event. And it's gonna be something else. This fight has been rumored that it was gonna take place. It's been talked about, and here it is. We've been waiting for it. And as highly anticipated as it was, it didn't catch the same steam as the Joshua Tyson Fury fight was catching, because that's what everybody expected that was going to happen this summer. And then that fight ended up falling through. Then we ended up having Tyson Fury sign that trilogy fight against Deontay Wilder. And then that fight has been postponed because of COVID, a positive COVID test on the Fury side. And it's been delayed. But that fight's going to be coming up here in a couple weeks time. This one didn't catch as much steam, but for the hardcore boxing fans and even for the casuals that follow Anthony Joshua, this is a big event for them. Now, Oleksandr Usyk, he's bringing an 18-0 record with 13 knockouts to his favor. Of course, this is a former undisputed Cruiserweight champ, and very good boxing to come along with them. That's going to accompany him. He's got good boxing. He puts his punches well together. And I don't know how this is going to play out. I'm leaning towards Anthony Joshua being able to pull out the decision victory. I don't think he's going to be able to stop Oleksandr Usyk. I don't see Oleksandr Usyk having the power to be able to stop Anthony Joshua, but that's why we're tuning in to see what's going to happen. Oleksandr Usyk puts his punches together very well, but it doesn't look like his punching power has transitioned all the way from the power that he was displaying at cruiserweight. Of course, that fight against Derek Chisora turned out to be a lot harder for him than it should have been. That ended up going all the way. Derek Chisora, of course, is a game fighter. He's a come forward, come at you type fighter, and Oleksandr Usyk had trouble with that. Oleksandr Usyk with his boxing, I think his boxing is a little bit more refined than that of Anthony Joshua's. This fight's going to play out one of two ways. Either Anthony Joshua steps in and lets his power be known and sets the pace from the onset, which is very likely because he tends to do that every single fight. He lets the opponents feel his power early, and he takes control of the pace. I see the same thing happening today. If Usyk comes back with something strong and shakes up Anthony Joshua is going to try to get back at Usyk. If Usyk ends up connecting a second time with something of note that will catch Anthony Joshua or the corner's attention, then I see Anthony Joshua getting on the bicycle like he did on the rematch with Andy Ruiz and pulling out the decision that way, picking Usyk apart, outboxing him, outpointing him, and getting the decision. Usyk doesn't have that spark in him to switch momentum. He either takes over the fight and sets the pace, or he just goes along with the flow and welcomes the flow as it presents itself. He's not one to switch momentum. I don't think this is going to be a back and forth like we saw with Joshua and Vladimir Klitschko. I don't think this is going to be a back and forth like we saw with Andy Ruiz and Joshua in the first fight. Even Pulev, who was trying to go after Anthony Joshua, but the power was just too much against him. Usyk is not that type of fighter. Yes, he has power when he sees a weakness or an opening. He goes for it, but that's it. He's very calculated in his approach. So it's going to be an interesting fight. This is happening in a few hours' time, of course. So big day of boxing. This card, again, Eddie Hearn and DAZN, they put this card together. But this is not for the casual fan. This is definitely a card that got put together for the European boxing fan, for the British boxing fan. Because if you look at this card, you're not gonna really recognize. If you're a casual fan, there's really no names that will pop out of your head. Maybe if you were a casual fan for years, you'll recognize the Hatton last name. Campbell Hatton's gonna be on the undercard. He's 3-0. He's going for his fourth professional fight, so you'll recognize the son of Ricky Hatton taking part of the card. You'll recognize the last name. That is, if you're a casual fan of years past. Other than that, this card was put together for the British fan, for the European fan. From there, you won't really recognize any names that will pop up unless you're actually following these divisions and you're following them closely. For the British fans, of course, the co-main event is going to be Lawrence Okolie. Lawrence Okolie is the WBO Cruiserweight Champ, and he's got power. He brings power. He brings excitement to each one of his fights. Lawrence Okolie is going against Dylan Prasovic. Lawrence Okolie steps in as 16-0 with the WBO title around his waist, and Dylan Prasovic steps into the ring at 15-0. Similar knockouts, 13-12 knockouts. So it's gonna be hopefully a fight that will excite the crowd and will prep the crowd for the main event that follows this fight. Other than that, the only other name that will pop out at your head or that will pop out and grab your attention will be that of Callum Smith. Callum Smith's going to be making his debut at the 175-pound division. Of course, why would you know this name? Well, he's the one that got his ass handed to him last December by Canelo Alvarez. He was posing the biggest threat to Canelo Alvarez, the biggest height difference, the biggest punching power that Canelo Alvarez had faced, aside from that of Sergey Kovalev and the threat that he was supposed to pose to Canelo. Callum Smith was it. And then after the fight, the way that Canelo dismantled Callum Smith, took those titles from him, took the Ring Magazine title from Callum Smith, and cemented himself as the who's who in the 168 division. Callum Smith turned out to be more noise than anything. Now he's debuting at 175. He's a really good boxer. I like Callum Smith, but for some reason he just caved in and did not pose the threat that he was supposed to and fight the way that he was supposed to against Canelo. He had the power, he had the reach, he had the height, the plan, the game plan, whether it was on, he failed to execute badly. Nonetheless, that name will pop up. Hopefully he's successful today. He's going to be fighting Lenin Castillo. That's going to be a 10-rounder. That's the third fight in order. Florian Marco, who's been making a lot of noise, he's going to be fighting. He's 8-0-1. He has one draw to his record. He's going to be fighting Maxim Prodan. Florian Marco, of course, is a welterweight. That fight's going to catch some noise because these are prospects, right? These are names that are starting to come up. These are names that are starting to make a little noise and catch a little traction in their careers. So 8-0 with one draw, 6 knockouts to his favor. Maybe Florian Marco down the line will fight someone like Conor Benn. That will be a big fight for the European fans. He's an Albanian fighter, strong hands, strong punching power. So we'll see. That one should be a fun fight as well. Definitely a card, like I said, built for the European and the British boxing fans. So congratulations, because boxing is back, and in London of all places, 65,000 expected to be in attendance. That's going to be awesome. Who else is drawing numbers like that? Anthony Joshua, time and again, draws the biggest numbers, the biggest ticket sales for British boxing fans and for the British public. And of course, I mean, we saw that sellout against Vladimir Klitschko years back, right? And I think it was 100,000 plus at Wembley. So that's going to be entertaining to see. Big event. The other event that's going to be taking place elsewhere throughout Europe is going to be in Spain, in Madrid, Spain. Sergio Martinez. This is the third fight since he announced his return. He had 2 fights in 2020, and he's gonna be Argentinian fighter who's been living in Spain now for years. He's stepping into the ring with a 53-3-2. Of course, nothing to do with the Anthony Joshua card, right? The Anthony Joshua and Oleksandr Usyk is a fight that we're looking forward to. I'm just giving you something else that you may have overlooked or you didn't even know about. Sergio Martinez, supposedly DAZN's also going to be playing this. I know the South America and Argentinian channel TNT Sports usually plays his fights because he is an Argentinian fighter who's based out of Spain now. This is his third fight since his return to the middleweight division, to professional boxing. He's not partaking in the exhibitions, but he's back and he's trying to make a run at a title again. 53-3-2 is the record that he'll be stepping into the ring tonight with. 30 knockouts of those came, 30 of those 53 wins came by way of knockout, and 2 of his 3 defeats were stoppage losses, one to Margarito, and of course the end of his career against Miguel Cotto. So last year he ended up beating Jose Miguel Fandinho, who had a 15-6 record when he stepped into the ring. That took place in Spain also. He stopped him. Sergio Martinez stopped him in the 7th round. That was August of 2020, so just over a year ago. And then in December, he ended up fighting Jesse Koivula, who stepped into the ring with the 24-7-1 record in December. And he ends up, that fight ends up getting stopped due to a cut in the 9th round, and Martinez gets the TKO win. Now he's coming back against Brian Rose. Brian Rose is stepping into the ring with a 32-6-1 record. And Brian Rose, of course, is a British fighter. He's been in some decent fights in his career. He's had some decent opposition. He didn't fight 2020, but he did fight this past March, earlier this year, against Jose Lopez Clavero, who had it was a journeyman type fight, just a get ready or stay warm type of fight. The gentleman Clavero had a 13-14, so more losses than wins. 13-14-1 record when he stepped into the ring. That was a majority decision win for Brian Rose. Who has he fought? Alistair Warren. That was another journeyman who's been around with some of the bigger names that you'll recognize. Other than that, Jack Arnfield was a 23-2 record when he stepped in against Brian Rose. Matthew Macklin, you'll recognize that name. He's a former foe of Sergio Martinez. And of course, he ended up fighting names like Triple G as well. So that's one of the biggest names that he has to his resume. A loss to Matthew Macklin. He split victories with Carson Jones, who was a former foe of Antonio Margarito. Other than that, Anthony Fowler is a prospect that he ended up losing to. Anthony Fowler stepped into the ring at 9-1. When they faced off each other in 2019, Anthony Fowler is now 15-1. So he continues on with his career, making some noise. He's set to fight Liam Smith, actually, here in a couple weeks' time. So Brian Rose, good opponent. If we're looking for Sergio Martinez to start resurging and start climbing up the ranks, Brian Rose is definitely a big step up from Fandinho and Koivula. So this is a good test for him. Let's see where he's at, because the other guy, Brian Rose, is younger and he's had some decent opposition. Not the greatest, but decent opposition. And it's definitely the right step up for Sergio Martinez to continue to climb up the ranks if he's really serious about making a run for a title. So let me know. I don't know how you guys have it. I'll definitely do a recap episode for this huge heavyweight fight between Oleksandr Usyk and Anthony Joshua. Usyk making noise. Ever since he transitioned over to the heavyweight division, he's trying to take over. He was the undisputed at the division below, and now he's trying to take over the heavyweight division. Big goals, big aspirations for him, and he's got the talent to do it. So Oleksandr Usyk stepping in with an 18-0 record. Anthony Joshua with a 24-1 record. The knockout power, the punching power, the strength, the height, the size is definitely on the side of the British fighter. Oleksandr Usyk brings a little bit better boxing, maybe similar to that of Andy Ruiz. Not as fast hands or speedy hands, but definitely has, I would think, the power and the combinations. The way that he puts his punches together, definitely favor Oleksandr Usyk, more of an inside type fighter, and that's how he's going to have success tonight. In my opinion, he has to make it an inside type fight. get on the inside, take the body out from Anthony Joshua, and uppercuts, because he is a shorter fighter. Hopefully one of those will catch Anthony Joshua. For Anthony Joshua, he just has to keep him at bay. And every time that Anthony Joshua measures the fighters and he keeps the fight happening in the center of the ring, he measures the fighters with one hand and then lets go, whether it's the left to right or right to left. That 1-2 is deadly for Anthony Joshua, usually pushing those opponents towards the ropes, and then he's able to put them down or put them out. Only 2 of those victories have come by way of decision. Everybody else has been knocked out or stopped by Anthony Joshua. So that's some food for thought right there. If he stops Oleksandr Usyk, that's going to be a huge victory for him, and it will cement him as the top dog in the heavyweight division. And of course, in 2 weeks' time, we'll have the Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder trilogy. That will get settled, and then hopefully we'll see Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua, or the long-awaited Deontay Wilder and Anthony Joshua fight, depending on who comes out victorious there. So Anthony Joshua, Oleksandr Usyk happening in a few hours' time later today, Saturday, and that's happening at the Tottenham Hotspur huge soccer stadium out there in London. And then in Madrid, Spain, later this evening, that's going to be Sergio Martinez in this 3rd fight since his return to the ring against Brian Rose. Guys, big sports day. It's a pleasure to be back on the mic with you guys. Enjoy the day. I'll catch you guys on the recap episode. Stay safe. Talk to you soon.